All right, let's do this one more time. The moral of today's story is knowing when it's time to call it quits. If a girl is not giving you the Chad treatment up front, you're not going to get it ever. And endlessly chasing after an uninterested woman as an undesirable male is like repeatedly putting your hand on a hot stove despite knowing that it's going to burn you. So last year, I met this girl. She was a foreign student from Japan who got admitted to one of the graduate programs at my university. And during the summer, she came to tour the campus. Coincidentally, it just so happens that my summer job was working for the university giving campus tours. And on that particular day, there was no one else there. She was literally the only person taking the tour, so rather than me putting on this grandiose tour guide personality because I have to direct a group of 10 or more people, it's just me and her. So I'm a lot more casual and I'm being friendly towards her because she's going to be in the same sector of the college that I'm in. And once we get to the end of the tour, I offer to give her my phone number. I tell her that it's so she can contact me in case she has any questions about adjusting to the new environment, but if we're keeping it real here, I'm also leaving the door open in case there's some interest there. There was none. Otherwise, I wouldn't have to be offering my phone number to her. She'd be asking for it. That was my mistake right there, trying to turn the interaction into a cold approach, but she responded politely and took down my phone number. Shortly after that, I invited her to this pool party we were throwing at my friend's apartment complex, which also happened to be the apartment complex she would be moving into. This is L number 2. So if you're trying to host some kind of social event or get-together, good luck with getting more than 2 people to show up if you're not a quote-unquote high-value male. Unless you have the social proof to attract a large group, or the looks to be more accurate, most of the people you invite are going to be hesitant about showing up to your event because they don't want to walk into a situation where it's just you and them by themselves and there's no Chad or Chad Light there for them to run to just in case you bore them or something like that. I didn't want this to be a huge thing, but I at least wanted to appear as if I had the connections to assemble a group if I wanted to. Obviously, no one came to the pool party except for my friend, and this other autistic guy showed up. So I guess there's 3 of us. And when this Japanese girl gets there, she's probably expecting to see a live DJ with swarms of people all around, but instead she just sees 3 spurgs sitting in the hot tub eating a bag of potato chips. She didn't say it, but I could tell she was disappointed with the low turnout. And let's not kid ourselves here. She was there to meet some shirtless frat boy Chads and BTS lookalikes, but instead she got stuck with Ed, Edd, and Eddy. There was no loud music, no drinking games, and no other women in sight. It was embarrassing, guys. This girl already knows what my face looks like. That's strike 1. And now she's witnessed the disastrous results of me trying to host a party. So much for this epic last hurrah at the pool to cap off the summer, and so much for this girl taking me seriously. It's over at this point, but I tried one last time to get the ball rolling with this girl. When school started back up, I invited her to hang out with me during our first weekend. And she said yes, because I believe she hadn't made any friends at the time. But when we met up, the whole time we were together, she just looked completely disinterested. The conversation was stale, I had to carry most of it, and she didn't really ask me any non-school related questions or show any curiosity about me as a sentient human being. And when we were leaving to go our separate ways from this hangout, I tried to hug her, and it was just cringe maxing on full display. I don't know why I tried texting her after that. I knew it was over, but I still just clung on to the possibility that something might happen because that's all you can do as an undesired male. She would continue being polite to me in the messages, but when I asked if she wanted to hang out again, a third time, I was immediately shut down. She told me that it was because of the unexpected amount of classwork that she had to do, but come on, guys, we're smarter than that. The way I see it, I had 3 chances. The pool party, that second in-person meeting, and then the last text I sent her asking if she wanted to see me for the 3rd time. After that, I dropped the whole thing, stopped contacting her, and moved on with my other dating prospects. So basically, I continued playing video games, eating alone, and masturbating. When I decide that I'm no longer going to contact a girl, I don't block them or anything extreme like that. I just won't message them first anymore. If they decide to hit me up, great, but if not, then I know exactly where I stand. And what a surprise! I stand in the non-existent category because every time I saw her at school following those interactions, she ignored me. Didn't look at me, didn't smile, didn't say hi or anything like that. As far as she's concerned, I'm Casper the Beta Ghost. Talk about a complete 180. How did I go from being the first person she met in the entire school to being the last person she'll ever make eye contact with in the hallway now? One brutal experience I remember from when this treatment first started was this time I was sitting on a bus. This bus is a shuttle that takes students back and forth between the 2 different campuses that we have and this shopping location in the neighboring area. Super convenient, but that's besides the point. I'm sitting down on the shuttle, and the driver is about to take off. But he opens the door because someone's running to jump on the bus at the last second, and I look up and I'm thinking, oh, that was nice of him to wait for that person. Oh, fuck! It's her, right? She walks onto the shuttle and she's looking down the aisle for an empty seat. Now, when this happens, I'm staring at her, trying to gauge what she's going to do. And because I'm staring at her and she's looking for a seat, I think our gazes lock for about a millisecond. In that millisecond, I'm hyper-analyzing the whole situation. Is she going to sit next to me? Is she going to acknowledge that I'm even there? I don't know what's about to happen. So I just keep looking in her general direction, trying to mentally prepare. What she ends up doing is not speaking to me, which is expected. But strangely, she chose to sit in the seat directly in front of mine. She did not have to sit there. There were plenty more seats to choose from, but that threw me off because I didn't know what the purpose of it was. Why'd she do that shit? Was I supposed to start a conversation because she was in front of me? She didn't give me any indicators that I should, so I just kept staring forward emotionlessly, and we both got off at our respective stops without exchanging any words at all. And this was the status quo moving forward. And now it's been about 7 months of silence shared between the 2 of us. The thing that pisses me off about it is that this year, specifically, I'm seeing her more and more. And we're still playing the same game where we don't speak to each other at all. It's really awkward, but I don't see any other way to handle it, mainly because I don't want to put myself in any kind of position where she can claim I'm harassing her. It's a bit extreme, but I honestly believe that this is how below average men need to be when a woman starts going cold on them. Now, our natural instinct when they pull away is to chase them and show how committed we are, but that's not a safe play if they're not attracted to you. If you chase, you run the risk of being labeled as a chaser, and depending on how ugly you are, the consequences can be catastrophic. Earlier in the video, I brought up how I had 3 strikes with a Japanese girl. If you're trying to ask out a girl and there are 3 instances where you fuck up, she flakes, or something bad happens that gives you doubts about the whole thing, cut communication. Because if you keep pursuing, you're only doing damage to yourself. You don't have the looks required to be given a pass for making mistakes. Chad might, but not you. And speaking of mistakes, there's another girl that I've been talking to recently who I met a year ago and reconnected with in the past month. So, first time we met, it was strictly platonic. Nothing happened with it. Then a year goes by, and I see her at this party. And at this particular party, it's one of those things where there's an in-group and an out-group. The person hosting invited a ton of people that already knew each other well, but they also invited this girl who was not a member of their social group. So lo and behold, she shows up to the party with her one female friend as a tag-along, and people greet them, but because they're not part of the established social group, they're kind of just getting brushed to the side. No one's really talking to them for more than a minute or so. And they're just standing there by the snack table looking around the room, not really doing much of anything. So I take it upon myself to go speak to them, or at least speak to the girl I knew from a year ago. I approach her, say hello, remind her of how we first met, and we start having a conversation. Surprisingly, this chick ends up talking to me for more than 10 seconds. She's fluent in Spanish, and I tell her that I spent 4 years taking Spanish classes in high school. But I'm losing it now as an adult because I don't practice very often. Then we started practicing Spanish, and it wasn't bad, if I'm being honest. We just talked about any random things we could think of, which I could put into coherent sentences. However, I'm aware of the fact that no other guys were giving her free attention at this party, so perhaps she kept this interaction going because I was the only guy there trying to riz her, or whatever the fuck you're supposed to say. And when I was about to leave, she started telling me that she was leaving at the same time. And by now, her friend had already gone home. So it was just her there by herself. If there was just her there by herself, it would have been the same scenario as when the night started. She would just be standing there, staring into space, because all the oofy doofies at the party were talking to this redheaded girl with lighter skin. I think the redhead girl was running Just Be White game, guys. This Filipina chick that I was talking to in Spanish, who almost looked black with her complexion, she was getting mogged by this girl. No guys were talking to her. They were all on this redheaded girl's fucking vagina. Trying to get with her. Anyways, I left that night, but I kept in contact with the Filipina. We texted each other, and we made plans to meet at the gym a couple weeks later. To my shock, she actually showed up, which I was not expecting. That usually doesn't happen. But since it did, we worked out together. Nothing happened afterwards, of course. She didn't invite me to shower or anything crazy like that. It just ended very neutrally. After that meeting, I texted her again, asking if she wanted to return to the gym the following week, and she said yes. Here's where things get interesting, though. On the second day we'd planned to meet, have another workout at the gym, she told me there was some event she had signed up for that was like an invitation-only event, and she was on the wait list for it. If a spot became available, she would attend this thing, but if a spot did not become available, we would go to the gym. And on the day, I texted her first, asking if she had been taken off the wait list. She said no. She got rejected. So logically, I thought, okay, this means we can meet up. And when I started talking about that over text, she responded saying that all of a sudden she had plans with her friends that night. Okay. So we scheduled this a week ago. You told me that if you didn't get into this event, I would have that time slot. And now you all of a sudden have plans with friends? And also, I have to find out about this by texting first and basically interrogating the information out of you. That was the first flake. That's strike one. Then 2 weeks later, we had set another time to meet, and on the day she was saying that she had to get some last-minute work done, so she had to cancel. I don't know what the hell she was talking about with last-minute work, but I guarantee she would not be telling Chad or Tyrone this fucking shit about last-minute work. So she asked me again if we could reschedule for the following week. We're like a broken record now. We're at strike two. I said yes. All right, we can reschedule. Then the following week, what does she do? She texts me and says, "Hey, bad news, boss. I have COVID." Sure. When I got that text, I responded saying that I was concerned about her and hoped that she would get better soon. I 100% believe she was lying about being sick, but I couldn't call her out on it without any proof, so I just played dumb. After that, she's radio silent for a week. I guess she's recovering. And then I get a message where she's asking if I'm going to go to the St. Patrick's Day party that this gay guy and his roommate are throwing. These are the same people that hosted the party where we reconnected. She said that if I or her female friend don't go to the party, then she probably won't attend either. I wonder why. There's been 3 strikes at this point, so I stopped messaging first. She hit me up, saying that she would only go to this party if I was there, right? So I said, fuck it. I'm not wasting my time with this anymore. I'm just going to put it all out there. I responded to her by saying that if she was only going to go to the party if I was going to be there, why don't we just do our own thing for St. Patrick's Day instead? You and me. No response for the rest of that night. And then I got a text in the morning that reads, "My friend is down, so I'll tap into the party. Haha, hope to see you there." I'm not going to this party, guys. The party is literally tonight on the day that I'm recording this, but I do not give a shit. This girl flaked on me 3 times and then just ignored the last thing I said. I'm not going to go to this party just so that I can give her more free attention, just in case there's a Chad there who wants to compete with me for her. If Chad's there and he wants her, he'll take care of business, you know. He doesn't need a beta orbiter hanging on her arm to motivate him to go in for the lay, or whatever the fucking PUA term is. Guys, when it's time to stop, it's time to stop. If women are doing this kind of shit to you, pushing and pulling you every which way, just remember that this isn't a shit test. This isn't a mystery you have to crack. This is just what happens to unattractive men who keep putting their hands on the hot stove.